Yay! Church today!
It's a great day for church.
Can't wait for church to start.
I'm ready for some church today.
Hey family, great day for church today.
It's a good day to go to church.
Welcome to First Church.
Welcome to First Church.
We're so glad you're here.
Hey babe, church is starting.
Yay! We need this series.
It's a great day to go to church.
Today is a great day to go to church.
All right, time for church.
I'm so happy to still be able to go to church online.
Ready for First Church to start?
Sure am.
All right, here it is.
I have waited all week for church to start.
Welcome to First Church. Well, happy Mother's Day, everyone. Thank you so much for choosing to come and celebrate with us here at First Church today. I can't think of a better way to celebrate than worshiping Jesus.
In the presence of my enemies, when the storm is crashing down on me, I will trust in what I cannot see. I wait for you. I wait for you. You can part the Red Sea. You can reach the depths of me. I know nothing is impossible reminded in this moment that we are children of God. That God calls us His children, that He chose us. He chose us. Let's sing it out, let's worship it, that we are chosen. We are not forsaken, and we are who God says we are. Let's sing it. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am who you say I am. I am who you say I am. Who the Son sets free, who is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am.
Well, hello and welcome to church. Happy Mother's Day. My name is John, and I don't know how you cannot be excited to be here after that. Man, that was so good. I love God's truth declared over our lives. And man, in addition to welcoming you, I want to welcome your kids here. We actually have some great curriculum that's available for them. It's linked in the description, also available on our website. If you check it out there, it's labeled really clearly on the front page. And if it is your first time, I would ask you to text first time to 474747. We want to send you a thank you gift. We value your time. We're grateful that you came, and we just got a gift for you. You're going to love it. And, I want you to know we're going into a time of giving, and you can give online at first.church/give. You can also give through text, and that information is up here in the corner on how to do that. You just text the amount you want to give to that number up there. And, I'm just so grateful for your generosity. This week, we were actually able to help buy seed for some farmers in Guatemala that's going to allow us to feed over 1,000 families next year. That's kind of incredible. And right now, as part of COVID-19, because commodities are so low, farmers can't afford to buy seed, even here. I mean, it's hard. And we were able to feed 1,000 families. If you gave here, you were a part of that. And I just think that's so cool. Like, that's part of our legacy. And right now, before we go into our incredible Mother's Day set that we have that's going to be really great, I want to spend about 10 minutes talking about our reopening plans. And I know some of you are like, wait a minute, Pastor, the church never closed, so we don't need to reopen, because the church is the people of God doing the work of God for the glory of God. So, it's not a building, it's the people. And that's true, but the church gathering together is something God calls us to do to fuel ourselves and prepare ourselves to do that. And I feel like we're still alive, but there's a part of us missing. It's sort of like if your arms get cut off, it's like you're not dead, but your arms are gone, you know what I mean? And you learn to do incredible things with your feet, and it's like, wow, I didn't know you could eat with your feet and write with your feet, but then, like your arms are still gone. Like some of you are like, wow, online is amazing, and it is amazing. But also at the same time, it's not in person, and it's like, wow, look at the drone that Tanner flies and Michelle flies, and that's amazing. And look at the camera work and scooting around people and whatever, and it's almost like, it's not bad. It's like good, it's good. Yeah, but I can't wait for us to gather in person. For some of us who are vulnerable physically, it's not time yet, but for many of us, we're making plans to get together. Reminds me of this story that I read in 5th grade for school. It was called The Hatchet by Gary Paulson. It's a story about this kid who crash lands this plane in a lake in northern Canada. And he has to survive, and all he has is this hatchet. And he survives by eating worms and like gathering berries. And at one point in the story, and if you don't know this, a lot of the forests in northern Canada are actually rainforests. Not tropical, mind you, cold rainforests, like cold northern rainforests. But it starts raining, and it keeps raining. And he keeps telling himself, well, I'll go out and gather worms when it stops raining. But it never stops raining. And eventually he reached this point where he's like, I'm going to starve if I don't go out in the rain. I have to go out in the rain. And I think as a society, we're beginning to reach this place where we realize we got to go out in the rain. And at first we sat down and we said, we're just going to shelter in place and we'll wait till this blows over and then we'll go out. We realized, man, it's going to keep raining for a little while. And we're going to have to go out in the rain. And we're blessed to have a strong food supply chain, but even it is stressed. In the story of the hatchet, the kid's beginning to starve to death. He realizes, I got to go out. And I think a lot of us, we're beginning to realize, the World Health Organization is predicting 250 million starvation deaths this year, mostly vulnerable young women and children. And that's so sad to me. Farmers are facing this severe shortage of funds to purchase seed. Fields are going fallow. I think that 50 years from now, what will be most remembered from this pandemic is the self-inflicted famine that followed. We are balancing dealing with a formidable and transmittable virus that I don't want to take seriously. But also we're balancing that with our unrelenting need to produce as a society so that we can live. And unfortunately, our comfort and decisions in America today don't just affect us. They affect people around the world. And as Christians, we have to balance that too. And I think we're realizing we need to go out in the rain. I'm proud of the way that this church and many churches globally have conducted themselves. And most of us have good raincoats. We sheltered in place while we discovered what we needed to about the virus, and we're realizing we got good rain gear. Like children are really good against this virus. 3 children died in the U.S. as of April 2nd when there were 845,000 cases. During that same time period, 144 children died from the flu. So for children, coronavirus is something they got good rain gear against. For people 65 and younger who are generally healthy, coronavirus is far more dangerous than the flu, but we still have good rain gear. Generally, the case fatality rate is low for those of us who are 65 and under. People approaching 65 and older, people who have comorbidities and health problems, maybe there isn't as good raincoats. Maybe going out in the rain isn't as good a choice. You're going to have to decide for yourself. But Governor Holcomb, along with much of the rest of the United States, has laid out a plan that we intend to honor. In fact, we intend to go a little bit above and beyond. They basically said churches can meet because you have the right to meet, but you should never meet again. And that was kind of his plan. It's like, wait a minute, Governor, that's kind of confusing. He's like, yeah, just don't meet until we have a vaccine and everybody's good. But if you want to meet, you can. It's kind of a political ploy, cover my rear end, whatever. But churches technically could have met as of May the 4th, which I love that day, because May the 4th be with you. Okay, so anyway, small groups are meeting again live and in person, and watch parties that are 25 and under are meeting live and in person, which is really cool. But because we want to be wise, and because we want to honor our moral obligation to protect the vulnerable, our church was the first to close, and we're going to delay a little bit to open. And we think that's serious because we take people's health seriously. And for people who have COPD and high blood pressure and diabetes and all these other things, we care about you. And our first set of live services is going to be on May 31st, which is exciting. And even though there's no restrictions on our capacity or gathering basically whatsoever, we're going to operate at 25% capacity at that time. Restaurants and other stuff will be offering at 50%, but we just think the best choice for this church to take care of the safety of the people here is 25% of our occupancy. And services are going to be a little bit different than they were before. I want to talk to you about the measures we're going to take to protect you. We're going to be opening in a week after Stage 3 starts in Indiana. And we're going to use a reservation system online. It'll be super easy. You just go to first.church. Note how many people you're bringing. Note if you're going to check kids into our kids ministry. And you can reserve up to 7 days in advance. We'll have a small kids ministry that'll be socially distanced. And I know some of you are like, wait a minute, how can you socially distance kids? Well, we can. We got a brilliant idea. Check this out. So we have 11 kids ministry classrooms. And normally on a really crowded service, we'll have 100 kids in there for one service. And we're cutting our ages in half, so that narrows it down to 50, and then we're cutting our services down by a quarter. So even if we had twice as many kids as normal, we'd have like 25 kids at a service, right? And if you divide that out by 11 rooms, it's like, oh, we can kind of separate kids by family. And for instance, my 4 kids have been exposed to the germs of our neighbors, the Fosters, because they play together without permission, because my kids don't listen to me, okay? And so I'm okay with them being in the same room, so we would put them in the same room. The big challenge for us is finding volunteers who are young and don't have comorbidities who are willing to volunteer. So if that's something you're willing to do, we'd love to have that. For kids in kindergarten and above, it's old school. You bring a coloring book, your mom says, be quiet, and here's a tablet. No, it'll be good. We'll make our services a little shorter, a little more kid-friendly. And then the way we're gonna separate services, when the first service is done, we'd release you, we'd sanitize the building, and if you're in the parking lot, you would tune in to 87.9. We'd have our FM broadcaster going with music and info and stuff. And when we're ready, we'd announce, hey, building sanitized, come on in. Come on in, it'll be super cool. We can socialize in the parking lots and see each other, which will be neat. We just wanna make sure the building's clean. And while in the building, we're asking you to consider wearing a mask. We're strongly recommending it. And we have some masks, a very limited supply. If you don't have one, we're asking you to bring one for this time. And eventually we won't have to do that anymore. But right now, that's something we're asking people to do. I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't believe in masks and whatever. And listen, we've always been a place where we want to make people feel safe checking out God at their own pace. Regardless of what you believe about it, I actually think there's some science behind, you protect other people when you wear a mask, but regardless of what you believe, this is a way we can serve people, right? So I'd ask you to consider doing that. And our church is moving forward, and I know it's gonna be different, but I always think, when I've been at the lake all day and I haven't eaten a single meal, I get really hungry, right? And when you eat like a moldy hot dog at the end of the day, you're like, that was the best hot dog in my life. I mean, was it a good hot dog? No, you were just really hungry. Right now, we're excited to go to the library. You know what I mean? We're excited to go on a trip to the park. My kids can't wait to get in the car because they haven't been in the car for so long. You know what I mean? And I think this is gonna feel better than ever. I really think that coming to these services, the quality is still gonna be amazing. It's gonna be awesome. And if you have comorbidities, I don't want you to feel guilty about staying at home. That's okay, I totally understand it. But if you're healthy, I would love for you to come and check out services. Can we eliminate risk? No, we got to go out in the rain, but we can mitigate it. And I believe that coming to church will be far safer than, for instance, going to Costco or going to Menards where it's packed. Every spot in the parking lot was full last time I saw it. So I think it'll be good. We can't eliminate all risk, but it's going to be an awesome opportunity to check out God. And I can't wait for you guys to join us. And right now, the band has put together something really, really special. They are going to be leading a special Mother's Day cantata. I want you to check this out.
Hey there, beautiful one, you're there shining with glory. Would you let your heart hear if I sang about you? Or did you know that every fairy tale you love, they have borrowed your story? Of a maiden so lovely and her hero so true. It's just that this world is hollow and it wants to swallow any memory of who you really are. Always remember to never forget, when you look in the mirror, the answer is yes. Yes, you are pure as gold. Yes, you are beautiful. So always remember to never forget. Always remember to never forget. Like a treasure in the deep, your heart is a diamond, and your hero will do what it takes to find it, so he can hold it tenderly and become your defender. Even lay down his life just to make your heart his. It's just that this world is broken and it wants to hold back any evidence of that kind of love. So always remember to never forget, when you look in the mirror, the answer is yes. Yes, you are pure as gold. Yes, you are beautiful. So always remember to never forget. Always remember to never forget. My darling, your light, his favorite parade, on a bright sunny day in the middle of the mall. See Forrest still dance in your favorite dress. And oh, how he loves when you never forget.
Hey babe, I just want to let you know I love how every morning the boys can't wait to jump into bed with you and snuggle and wrestle with you underneath the covers. It's just a constant reminder how much you were made to be a boy mom. Love you.
I love my wife, Holly. One of the first qualities of hers that stuck out to me was how caring for others she is and how selfless she is. And just from the very beginning, I knew that my wife was made to be a mom. This was just for her. I love you, Holly. Happy Mother's Day.
I knew my wife was made for this when she caught our oldest son's vomit in her hands to save our carpet.
Happy Mother's Day, Renee. The 4 kids and I couldn't be luckier to have you in our lives. Thank you for everything you do for us. We love you, and you were absolutely made for this.
Hi, Rhonda. Over the years, I've watched you be just an outstanding mother. It has been a pleasure of mine to watch you raise and nurture each one of these girls. They have become incredible young women, and I knew all along that you were made for this.
I watch you in awe daily as you turn the excitement and oftentimes chaos of raising our 3 daughters into heartfelt life lessons and amazing memories. You're an awesome role model for the girls to have, and we're all blessed to have you in our lives. Thank you for always allowing your love and compassion to shine through, even in the toughest of times. Happy Mother's Day, Anna, and you were made for this.
I remember the years before the children being upset that you felt you didn't have a purpose in life, being depressed and not happy. But then there was that moment that doctor put the baby in your arms and you looked at me and I knew you were made for this. I love you, honey.
Wow. Ladies, mothers, you were made for this. And happy Mother's Day. We're so glad to be here with you today. And I just want you to know that no matter where you're at or what you've been through, God has a plan and a purpose for your life from before you were born. And in this moment, in this time, God has a message for you. And I'm so excited. You know, most weekends of the year, you hear a message prepared by a man. My wife would say, what a man. For all people, but, you know, it's kind of skewed towards men. And today, we get the treat of having a message prepared by a woman for women. And I'm really excited. I know that my wife gets nervous and sometimes dreads this. And if I would have told you when we were first dating that you're going to be doing this, which I actually kind of did, you lost your mind. You said, no way. But I'm so glad to see the way that God's been working in your life. And I know, and I knew the moment I met you, that you were made for this. You're going to do a great job. So go get them, honey.
Oh, thank you. And thank you guys for tuning in right now. I'm so excited that it's Mother's Day. And ladies, I'm so excited to celebrate you today. And men, I love you too, but can we just acknowledge that we are 2 very different people? Like men and women, there's no comparison. I really believe that God fundamentally made us as women so different and unique and special. And I want to talk about that today. Because I really believe right now we live in a society that tells men to act like women and women to act like men. And it's kind of a weird place to be. It doesn't lead to contentment in any way. And I think that there's a culture that I've grown up in and still tells me that if I want to be strong, if I want to make it, that I need to act like a man. I don't want to act like a man. I want to be a woman, right? And I know you want to be a woman because that's who we are. I know that I will never find contentment in trying to be a man because that is not who I was made to be. And I just want to go back to the beginning. I want to go back to when God created the world, because when God created the world, he created man. And when he made man, he's like, I'm going to give him an X and Y chromosome, right? And he looked at Adam and he's like, ooh, that looks good. But then I think he's like, you know, we know the story, but he's like, what would happen if I take the X, I raise it to the 2nd power, XX, ladies, that's us. And you know what I love about this? When God made us, he's like, she's going to multiply everything she has. And look at your life. You know, my husband, he gave me a house. I gave him a home. He gave me his last name. I gave him 4 kids with his last name. This is what we do. This is what you do. Whenever we get something, this is the natural tendency of a woman is we multiply it in strength. This is what God has made us to do. But when we walk away from our God-given identity as a woman, I believe that we are not able to multiply the way that God has intended us to. I think that the world tells us that our identity is not in God and not who God says we are. And it tells us that our identity is in how we measure up, our appearance, our achievements, right? The attention and approval of others. And I don't like that because I know that that is not my identity. That is not where it comes from. And God has so much more than that. This brings me to my main point today. So if you are taking notes, I want you to write this down. You were made for this, not that. Again, I want to say it. You were made for this, not that. This is my one point. My prayer is that every woman listening today, that you would discover your unique this, and that you would not envy someone else's that. Because I know that He has made us and formed us to do incredible things. And there is a this waiting for you today. And I really believe that so many of us are not focused on our God-given this and have our eyes distracted on someone else's that. See, a lot of my life, I have lived this way. I literally have lived for someone else's that, and I still find myself in this rat race. But in my early 20s, this is how you could define me. I graduated from high school, I got a corporate job, I was making it. I had a 401k in my early 20s, and the world was telling me that this is who I should be. I was like, this is my identity. Because you think about all the songs that I listened to growing up, I mean, it's all about being an independent woman, not relying on a man, like you gotta make it for yourself, right? And I was like, all right, I'm making it. Everyone around me was telling me, but you know what? I didn't really like it. I wasn't happy. This is not what I was made for. And I know some women, I just want to acknowledge, you were made for this. You were made for a corporate world. And I'm not saying that this is all women. But for me personally, it wasn't bringing me any satisfaction. It wasn't bringing me joy. And I knew I wasn't made for this. And I think, honestly, this is most women I talk to. But I think society says that being a mom and being a wife, it's not good enough. Do you hear that? I feel like they tell me that all the time. This isn't good enough. You should want that. And today, I want to set you free from your God-given this, whatever this is for you today. Because women, we were made for this. And I know some of you, again, your this isn't my this, okay? I want to keep acknowledging that. You have a special, unique this, and I want you to lean into that. But I know that I was made for this. I was made to be a mom. I was made to be a wife. I was made to be a homemaker. I was made to support my husband. This is what I was made to do. And I'm tired of society telling me that this wasn't what I was made for. I have yearned for this since I was a little girl. I think I preached about this before, but I was that little girl who had a fanny pack and I shoved all my babies in and I took them everywhere I went. Like I was that girl. I dreamed about this, but often I find myself deciding, maybe I don't want this. I look at other people's that and I'm like, I don't know, maybe this isn't what I'm made for. And I think this is a huge issue for women in general, isn't it? Like, I can't believe that I'm the only one who struggles with this. And I want to take a second to define what envy is. Envy is looking at someone else's this and saying, I want that, okay? So when I'm talking about that today, I'm talking about envy. I'm saying looking at someone else's this and saying, I want that. And we all do this. Unfortunately, right? I hate this about myself, but we all do this. We so naturally look at someone else and be like, I want that. And I remember, this is something I really feel like I want to share. I remember being in college and my roommate had a boyfriend. And I was like, I want that. And I remember flirting and I remember trying to get his attention. And then I finally got that, and I was like, no, I don't want that. I feel like every time I get that was never meant for me to have, I instantly know that it is wrong. I instantly know that this is not what I was made for. But I feel like this is something that why do we know this, but we keep trying to pursue it. And I just hope and pray today that we realize that God has given us a this that is so much better than that. And guys, I don't know, again, what your this is, but I want to emphasize to you that your this is not that. So many of us get hung up on that. Oh, if I just had that, right? If I could just do that, if I had what she has, if I was single again, if I was married, if I had kids, if I didn't have kids, right? Like, I don't know what it is for you, but it's just a cycle, like, over and over. It plays over in my head all the time. But I just want you to know, this is your this. Wherever God has you, whatever He has given you, this is your this. And we need to focus on it. We need to view it as a gift and be grateful for the this that God has given us. Because God made you for this. Whether you're a wife, or you're in the corporate world, or you're a mom, or you're not a mom, or you're thriving being single, this is your this, and let's embrace it. I want us to stop living for that. Because this, it's pretty darn good. I don't know where you're at, but it's pretty good. Because this is exactly where God has me, and there's nowhere I'd rather be than the place and in the purposes that God has for me. I want to call us right now to spend some time thinking about our this, so we don't envy that. I want to go to the story of Eve. See, Eve sat in the Garden of Eden. She had all of this in front of her. Can you imagine? I just want us to picture that. She's in the garden. She has everything. She has a mate. She has eternal life. She has a relationship with God. But then she traded all of this for that which was never heard. Satan says in Genesis 3:1, did God really say, you must not eat from any tree in the garden? What he's really saying, is this really enough? Did God really make you for all of this? Don't you want that? Doesn't that look good? That over there, you see that? I mean, do you feel this in your everyday life? That one thing that you don't have, that, you should go and get it. Ladies, I think this is the number one thing that robs us of joy and contentment and satisfaction in our life. How often are we like, I want her house, I want her husband, I want her clothes, I want her body. You could just, this could go on and on and on. It's annoying. All these that's that keep popping through our head, right? And I just want to take a second to acknowledge, when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about envy. I am not saying today that it is bad to dream. I think God gives us dreams. I think He gives us big dreams, and it is a great thing to dream and want something better for your life. But what I am saying today, it is not okay to look at someone else's that and envy it and covet it and strive for that instead of where God has you right now and the this that He's placed before you. And see, even in my everyday life, I do this in the dumbest ways. So now that I am working part-time, when John's at home with the kids and I'm at an event or working, I want to be home with the kids. When I'm home with the kids and he's working, I'm thinking all the work I could be doing if I didn't have the kids. It is nonstop, and I just mentioned that because I want us to think about all the little things in our life that we are missing out on this because we're focusing on that. How much more content would we be if wherever we are, that we are content and grateful for the this that we are in, and really able to see that God can use us in anything. We are to work for the Lord, or work for men as though we're working for the Lord. Like everything we do, we are working for the Lord and not for men. This is what we were made to do in every situation and every day. And guys, I want to give you 2 reasons right now why looking for that, having envy, ruins your this. The first reason is you don't enjoy your this when you're focusing on that. In Mark 10:35-37, we meet 2 men, okay, who did not enjoy their this because they were so focused on that. I want you to check out this passage. It says, James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came to Jesus, and they're like, Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask. All right. That doesn't sound like it's going anywhere really good. Okay, so Jesus says, what do you want me to do for you? And then they're like, well, let one of us sit at your right and the other at your left in all of your glory. Holy cow. That is a big ask, right? Like, the disciples are indignant at this point. I'd be like, what the heck, right? But here's what amazes me. They were literally in the presence of Jesus, and they were so focused on that. Does that blow your mind? They were literally standing next to God, watching Him raise people from the dead. They were sitting there and they were saying, I want that. instead of this? Do you know how many billions of people throughout history would have given anything to be where they were in that moment? Do you see how envy robbed them of their this because they were so focused on that? It blows my mind. I feel like being a mom, I do this all the time. Even this is a stupid example, but like I have 4 kids under 8. And we've had diapers for a very long time and dealt with poop and all that good stuff. And I have been like, oh, I can't wait for that. I can't wait for us not to be in diapers. I can't wait to not have to lug a diaper bag around. And now I only have 1 kid in diapers. And I'm like, oh, I want another baby. Like, I almost have that. And how much of this have I missed out on because I've been longing for that? And it breaks my heart. And it's the same with the sons of Zebedee. Like, they missed out on so much of their this, longing for that. And I want to break this cycle in us today, ladies. And so I want to go to the second reason that ruins you this. And this is it. That, everything that God has given us, what we have, is not going to make you feel as good as this. Okay? You have to understand that there is something specific that God has made you to do. There is. He doesn't make mistakes. He made you. He formed you in your mother's womb. Ladies, I just want to be real with the moms right now. I know most of you wanted to be a mom. You wanted to be a wife. But when I ask you, if I come up to you and I'm like, hey, what do? What's your life look like? And you tell me you're a mom, how many of you say it ashamed? How many of you say it defeated? How many of you say it like there's something better you could be doing? I don't like this because I want to tell you that there is nothing wrong with your this. God made you for this. He made you to be a mom. He made you to be a wife. And there is nothing wrong with this. Stop letting society tell you that this is not enough. I feel like so often we are so embarrassed and so discontented with the this that God has given us. And ladies, let's own it. I want us to know that we were made for this. So society might tell us that that is better, but it's not. I just want to emphasize that that is not going to make you feel as good as this, because you weren't made for that. You were made for this. And the same goes for the women who is single or the women who is working full-time. You were made for this. Don't let society, don't let another woman tell you that you weren't made for this. And I know most of you at this point, you're like, okay, what's my this? I want to figure out what my this is, right? And I want to give you 2 thoughts that you need to know before you can figure out your God-givenness. And the first one, and these are simple, okay? But they are so important. Sometimes I really believe the best things in life are the simple things. So this first one, first thing you need to write down, God made women for a specific role. We are not men. Okay? Like, let's just break that down. 99% of us, we would lose in an arm wrestling match, okay? It's true. There's maybe some of you would dominate and I would be in your corner cheering you on, but let's be honest, most of us, we would straight out lose and be humiliating, like 1 second and down. And you know what? It is a biological difference that we can't change. And it is not logical to think that there is not an emotional difference as well. There just is. We have different gifts. Can we just acknowledge that? We have gifts that men don't have. Let's stop striving for the gifts that God gave them and focus on the gifts that He has given us. God made us to be women, and there is nothing wrong with this. I want us to embrace this fact and love it and lean into it. Society is robbing us of our joy and our God-given identity. I'm tired of society telling me that I'm not supposed to be a woman and that I'm supposed to act like a man. Stop stealing my mantle. I love this. I love being a woman. I love having feelings. I love wanting to feel beautiful. I love everything that comes with being a woman. I love this. And I don't need you to tell me that this is not good enough. These qualities are strong, not weak. We have strengths that men don't have. So society, forget you. I don't want to hear you no more. I don't want you to tell me that being a mom is not enough. I don't want you to tell that single woman that being single is not enough and that it's a bad thing, because these are good things. And you can't tell us that they're bad, because being a woman is amazing. And you need to hear me say that this morning. I know that there's somebody listening, and you needed to hear this message. You were made for this. And let's stop focusing on the that was never meant for us to begin with. I really believe that until we embrace our God-given identity, we cannot live the purpose-filled life that God has intended for us. The second thing that you need to know before you can figure out your God-givenness is that you were made. This is a big deal. I want you to listen to the implications in that sentence. You were made. Made. You were made for this. The implication in that sentence is that God made you, right? There is a power above us. I feel like so often we live as though God doesn't exist, that we are God, that we are in control, and that we are able to do whatever we want. I know I've lived 25 years of my life this way, and it led nowhere good. And I know that people listening, you have felt the same way. Trying to be God leads nowhere good. There are major side effects. You were made by God and for God. And until you truly understand this, life is never going to make sense. You will spend the rest of your life running after that, which was never yours, trying to find purpose and contentment in a world, people, and things that were never meant to satisfy you. He made you for something bigger, so much bigger than yourself. He made you for a relationship with Him. Your this is waiting for you, but it cannot start until you decide to go and worship Him and have a relationship with the Creator of the universe. Some of us, we need to surrender our lives to God today. This is the first step to figuring out your God-givenness. If you are listening, and women, men, if you're listening too, and you know that you were made for a relationship with God, you know that you were made for more than what you're living for, I want to challenge you right now to text I'm in to 474747. It will be the best decision you have ever made. Going all in with Jesus changes everything. And again, if you are listening and you're hesitating on your cell phone right now, text in. Text I'm in to 474747. We'd love to follow up with you, to celebrate with you, to walk you across that line of faith. There's nothing more we'd rather do. But for all the women listening, I need you to hear me say that you were made for this, not that. For the moms listening who are just covered in guilt and doubting their ability to be a mom, you were made for this. For the mom who is struggling to raise a child with special needs, I want you to hear me say, you were made for this. For the woman who is watching all of her friends get married, and you are still single, and you feel like you weren't made for this, I want to tell you, you were made for this season. For the woman who is thriving at her corporate job, but wondering if this is where God has you, I want to tell you, you were made for this. For the woman who just decided to follow Jesus, and this is harder and more stressful, and it feels like you can't carry this cross, I just want to tell you, you were made for this. God doesn't make mistakes. Ladies, I need you to hear me. Wherever you are, whatever your this is, you were made for this, and it is time for us to stop living for that. So I want to leave you with a question today. What were you made for? What has God placed before you? And will you stop looking at that which was never yours to have and start focusing on your God-given this? I just want to end and pray a blessing over every single person listening today, and that God would show you your unique and special this, and that you would walk boldly into it. Jesus, I thank you that you have made us for so much more than we could ever ask or imagine. I just pray that every single person listening today that would walk into their this, that they would stop wanting that, and they would choose to do amazing, incredible things for your glory and their good. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. That's what I'm
Love
talking
you.
about. Thank you, honey. And thank you guys so much for joining us for Mother's Day. I'm so excited that we get to meet together on May 31st, live in person. That is something to celebrate. That's so great. More details to follow on our website. If you guys have any questions about that, please feel free to call, email, text. We would love to engage with you about that. But we're just so excited. We can't wait. Sisterhood, if you thought that was great, we got Sisterhood tomorrow night, Monday night. It's going to be awesome. We can't wait for that. But I want to ask you to hands in and team it up on 3. Everybody hands in, team on 3. 1, 2, 3, team!